things that Dota 2 does really well that every other game should be learning from. You see, things aren't the way they were before. We've been focusing a lot on gameplay, marketing and aesthetics when evaluating the latest slew of contenders for the next best RTS game in 2024 and beyond. But there's more to it than just those.
Just to start this, the thing that Stormgate should copy from Dota 2 is heroes.
Things. In order for a new generation of RTS games to succeed, they need the extra stuff that makes a game like Dota 2 so good. Now we all know what makes Dota 2 not so good. Oftentimes the community is quite toxic. But literally everything else about Dota 2 is so good and is pretty much a 10 out of 10. Dota 2 stands as a shining example of what a games client should have. Warcraft 3, League of Legends and Stormgate, which is coming up, and any other game could greatly benefit to learn from Dota 2's client and the amazing engineering that went into the game. And I'm going to be sharing a top 10 list of things that everyone should also like to have in their game. Number 1. Across different games that you play, as you start a new game, control groups will be remembered to the last unit that they were assigned to, even from game to game. We've been seeing some innovations where units get automatically added to control groups in games like Stormgate or Zero Space.
Oh my god!
I really like what Dota 2 does. I have here a Naga Sea Witch. When I start a game and I press Control Group 1, I immediately control the Naga. But what's even cooler is when I make mirror images, a short time summonable, that each of them listens to number 2, 3, 4.
Oh my god!
This is because the last time I played Naga Siren, I control grouped all these illusions. Each of them have...
Bro, this would be so good! This is clearly a good number 1. Yeah, I always have the same units in my control groups. I think every player pretty much always has the same groups in their control groups. It's very, very rare that, and only on high level, that you create like 2 different armies that might be better for StarCraft and Stormgate, etc. But for Warcraft, oh my god, this would be good.
Have a unique identifier code under the hood in Dota 2. And it is remembered that the unit that identifies as 2, that I gave them, control group 2. So it's super cool. Every time you make images, you can immediately split them as you like without having to group everything separately. Feral spirits for CORSAIR in Warcraft 3 always have to be grouped manually.
Every single time, every single summon. Every single game in every single series.
If this is a functionality that your game should like to have, you could always have a toggle in the settings that enables this or disables this. But the existence of this greatly pleases me.
Yes.
And I feel like it'd be really helpful in other games.
Grubby's so smart, man.
Part that makes it such a joy to play Dota 2 is that you're going to get extremely detailed post-game analytics. League of Legends, Warcraft 3.
I don't know if his 1 to 10 is a prioritization or if it's just a list of things, but I don't think it's that important. It's very, very nice to have, but I don't think it's that important.
And Stormgate do not hold a candle to the fire, the roaring fire that Dota 2's post-game analytics is. Let me show you.
That's true.
So first of all, you've got the scoreboard where you can see the kills, the deaths, the assists, the net worth that you've accrued over the game, all the items that you had at the end of the game. But what's also really cool is if there are quest stacks, aka let's say every time you get a kill, you get bonus damage forever in that game on that ability. In Heroes of the Storm, in the post-game stats, those are no longer shown, but in Dota 2, they will be shown right here. For example, Lion might have 6 Finger of Death kills here, and you'll see it there.
Oh, wow.
The amount of last hits, denies.
I haven't played Dota in so long that I didn't even know there's quests in the game.
GPM, all that good stuff. Things
wow,
that
that's
define
a
how the game
lot,
is played.
though. How
many wards did everyone buy? Which abilities did you go? In which order? Even the pick order in the draft is remembered. But there's more than that. But wait, there is more. There is a Dota 2 Plus, which you do have to pay for on a monthly basis. It's a subscription. There's a Dota 2 Plus analytics that show in the green line the probability that you have to win the game at every part in the game. This is a machine learning algorithm that's based on the aggregate total of all the games that were ever played in Dota 2. And then you can see that on the middle line, I think they could display it a little better. They could say like 50% win chance in the middle. They could say 83% on this line.
Yeah.
And they could say 63% or whatever it is, 57%, I believe it is on this one. It's also not a linear increase in percentage. As I said, this is 83%.
Okay, let's be honest. This is incredibly unrealistic for Warcraft to get something like machine learning in. I really like graphs. I think our total value graph is the closest to what we can get with the resources we have. And I'd still like to see a lot of improvements to that total value graph. But also, the total value graph doesn't consider in the fact that there's power spikes in a strategy, while this one certainly does.
So this represents the final 17%. Actually, it is linear. No, it is linear. It is linear. But it'd be nice if it showed the number here. Be that as it may, here you have a visual representation of the win chance, which is offered by the Dota Plus subscription that I have and that maybe not everyone has. But I think it's super cool that it exists, and I think it's worth paying as well. So at this point in the game, at 26 minutes, this team, the Radiant, had an 83% win chance. Super cool to see, because sometimes you'll open a game in your match history and you'll see like, oh wow, our win chance was really bad, but then we came back. For instance, this game, we had a 50% win chance. We dropped to actually something like 63% chance to lose, which means 37% chance to win.
Probably after a fight or something.
Then we came back. We got all the way to something like a 95% win chance, but threw it and it went back to 83%. Seeing these things is so interesting and fun, and it adds a lot. I think every game should have it. But wait, there is more. Everyone's player net worth, the amount of gold that they had, their levels, the items that they got, in which order. There is a personal performance index that shows your last hits, your denies, based on averages at your level. Then you've got extra breakdowns, also accessible via Dota Plus, where you can see, I, as Warlock, did this much damage to these 5 different heroes from these sources. It is incredibly granular. It's so much fun. And it creates a lot of things to do while pressing play game and you're actually searching game, right? While you're doing that, there's a
very, very true. So I think there is a problem with this in Warcraft 3, just from an implementation standpoint. You got basically 2 sources for game information. One is replay scrapping via parser, and one is the API that we use. And replay parsing is something War3 Champions uses. Replay parsing gives you a very, 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 very limited amount of information. The API is 10 times better than replay parsing. So I guess what you'd have to do is to virtually run the replay through the API or the game, or have the API always on. That would mean that there always needs to be a War3 Champions observer in your game that delays that forwards information. I don't think it's that easy compared to a built-in system that Dota 2 obviously did themselves. I think it would be possible, but automating that is rough. I think the AI could actually check the Warcraft 3 stats from the API and display a win chance. Does it know about power spikes? No, but it knows that having these unit zeros at this minute is good. So as far as I know, and I'm not sure if this is public information or not, but there was someone experimenting with Warcraft 3 machine learning, and the early results were that the computer always goes for an alchemist and always sells every item. Which is interesting. Because, I mean, there's clearly some learning to be done here that we might overestimate items. Is the impact of a claw really that big? Or is this our RPG instinct that tells us, well, if we get plus damage, that's really good. But for example, Happy was the first one to sell the town portal every single time. And in an interview, he said, I only need the town portal if I screw up. And that's correct. And no one else really is following in his footsteps. Of course, a town portal can also be used as a play-making or play-creating tool. But it's also very expensive, and maybe you might only need that later instead of in the very, very beginning. Yeah, so maybe there is a learning possible here.
A lot of fun stuff to do in the client. You compare that to Warcraft 3, and there pretty much isn't that much to do while you're inside the WC3 client. Heroes of the Storm, there really isn't much to do. In fact, the post-game stats screen that is available in Heroes of the Storm after a match ended is never recoverable again, even by navigating to your match history.
Same can be said about Parrot of Vitality for Night Elf. People don't buy it enough. It can give you so much value for elf and long games when you drop it at Moonwells. Yo, that's kind of true. But that would also take your attention away, right? And maybe you're not close enough to a perfect player to execute this every single time. But yeah, that's the super peak then, I guess. And yeah, I think the big problem here is that the replay parser is just not powerful at the moment for Warcraft 3.
All you see is win-loss, 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 and there's a limited list. In Dota 2, you can scroll, you can scroll, you can scroll, you can click, and those stats are still there. You could even go all the way back to one of your first games that you ever played.
That's pretty crazy.
Let's say I go to Ember Spirit. This game was 2 years ago, and it still remembers the stats, which is just incredible. I can see my...
Warcraft 3 doesn't even know if you just won or lost. Am I right, chat?
build. I can see which items I went. So, fantastic. Helping your player base level up by being able to understand interactions better is incredibly valuable and useful. As a learning player, it's valuable.
Bro, I've never seen that hero before.
If they are able to code it correctly and create the environment for it. League of Legends has a training tool, and Heroes of the Storm has a try mode. Dota 2's system is the best. In the demo mode, you can go into and try various different skins and heroes and everything. You can try. You can switch to any hero and change loadout and go to another and so forth. But what's really cool is that you represent not just yourself, and you can't just make dummy targets where you can cast your abilities on, but you can also represent the enemy. It takes a little bit to make sure that you understand how to control them against each other, but I could choose to be the enemy and cast a spell on myself, and then I could test things on them as well. I can give them items, and I could give myself items, right? So it is very useful.
I'd say... Guys, I don't know shit about coding, right? You know that by now. But there's a map called Witty's Unit Tester. And also some Russian streamers have a map for unit testing, etc. So, is it that hard to create a UI? So, for example, you want to test a one-on-one between an Archmage with 2 claws against a Farseer with 2 circlets. Would it be so hard to get a UI where you select your hero with his items and the opponent's hero with their items, and then at the beginning of, let's say, a witty map test thing, it enters a code that loads up this exact matchup? It would be a little clunkier, obviously, than this implementation, because you always have to restart the map to make changes. But would it be that hard? I don't know.
Useful that you can do this right from the interface of the client itself.
Yeah, that's...
Imagine in Stormgate or in Warcraft 3 if it was part of the main client that with a single click of the button you could go in and you could test who wins between 6 zealots and 12 zerglings, or who wins between 5 grunts and 10 headhunters, and that you could micro both sides. It's going to be a lot of fun for the community to try and play with it and learn interactions. And it just creates more things to do while you're logged into the client. Which
oh, you can do this during the queue. Yo, that's sick. That's good. That's really good. That's really good.
Player retention as well. While doing this, you can even be queuing at the same time.
Oh,
One
okay.
of the many great things about the Dota 2 client is you could watch a replay and still be queuing, and it will pull you out of the replay and get you into your game queue. You could be in demo mode and be queuing at the same time,
that's
and
sick.
it will pull you out. And
You
have
could
the
do a
ready
speed run
confirmation, and then you go into the game.
during the queue.
The next amazing part about Dota 2's infrastructure, which you wish your favorite game had, is the Reconnect system. I can show this very simply. I'm in the game right now, and I'm walking around, and I'm going to this tower, and suddenly I might lose internet for a bit, or maybe I reconnect for another reason. While you're in game, first of all, you can navigate the menu, and the game keeps going on. This is true for multiplayer games as well, so that you quickly could check some crucial stats. Of course, you shouldn't be attacked at the same time, but it is possible. But what's also possible is that you go out, and when you disconnect, it takes this long to get back into the game. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Maybe 13 seconds from the...
Does the game pause while you're disconnecting? Or is the game running at the same time?
moment of disconnect and having internet again, when you press the button, you're back inside the game. I want to say somewhere from 10 to 15 seconds.
It doesn't?
It is incredible. Trying to
the game runs
in Heroes of the
okay,
Storm could
so this is what NetEase had as well. The players can pause. Okay, this is exactly what NetEase had. And I think for Warcraft, that's not good. So first of all, it's great that you can reconnect in general. Like, do we have to talk about this? I don't think so. Resume from replay, a better reconnect function is something the pro scene wanted and would love to have for a long time. We have like a disconnect protection. It's not really reconnect, it's a disconnect protection. But if you're out of a game of Warcraft for 15 seconds, that's a gigantic advantage for your opponent. And we've seen it in pro plays. Of course, you want to be a fair player, right? So it's somehow up to your opponent to realize when you disconnect to pause the game. Or it would be up to observers and referees to do that, but then you always need observers and referees, and they need to have the functionality to pause the game, which could then open up another can of worms that, let's say you have malicious intents, and your friend is playing a game, and the fight is not looking too great for him, then you just pause and be an asshole. So I think the game should stop automatically, and after the reconnect happened, it should give you a countdown when everybody's ready. That would be the best implementation, I think. There is a global message when someone disconnects. Okay. Okay. That's good. That's better. I don't think Warcraft 3 realizes it though. There is a way to implement resume from replay, but that would need either Blizzard to give us some tools or reverse engineering, which can probably be done by like 3 people in the community, as far as I know. But imagine you have a lagger guy who constantly stops games for the other 9 people. Isn't this kind of frustrating? I think Dota is also very different from Warcraft. Because obviously it's 5-on-5 versus 1-on-1. So 4 people will have your back and the game isn't instantly lost. And of course you only stop the game for 1 player, not 9. So I think this should be a game-by-game case, what you implement. Or it should be an option. What you say is that what you say would work in Warcraft but not in Dota. Yep, 100%.
Take minutes. That's if it works. In Dota 2, it's just that fast. It just works. And that's incredible.
Yeah.
Number 4.
That's right.
As I already mentioned, the queue system allows for alternative actions. In Heroes of the Storm, when you're trying to open loot chests, some cool terrain, you got some new terrain, you want to open it or whatever, if you got some skins on different heroes, you want to look at them, you want to buy them, you want to equip them. None of that is possible while you're in queue. While you're in queue in Dota 2, you can do almost everything. You could be in a replay, you could be observing one of your friends, you go to a friend list and you say like, let's watch friend live. That is all possible while you're queuing up. You could be in demo mode, trying things out. There's so many things you could do at the same time, which just creates a very fun experience existing within the Dota 2 client.
Yeah. I think
it'd be great if
Warcraft 3 has the limitation of that if you... I think if you queue, you couldn't do anything in-game. Because you don't want Warcraft to open twice. So that's a very, very, very limiting factor. But what you could do is, and that could be really cool, if you queue, you can go through a quiz. That'd be nice for streamers, for sure. That would be something to learn for other players. And the big advantage of a War 3 Champions is that you can queue and look at stats at the same time, so that's already there. The stats are just very, very fundamental. Very... What's the word I'm looking for? Trivial, I guess. Some front-end stuff in the War 3 Champions overlay should work. Yeah. Dota had a quiz. Dota had a quiz. There you go. Like, it has to be outside of Warcraft 3. I know Sir Kato had like a Wordle pretty much ready to go. You should bring that back.
If you would be able to do the same in up-and-coming games like Zero Space or Stormgate, where you could jump in and watch each other's games, or you could
that's sick,
do
man.
things, rather than the client just being a very purposeful, driven place where the only reason to start the game is actually just because you're going to go and play, right? If you're not playing Heroes of the Storm, you're not booting the game Heroes of the Storm. But if you're not playing Dota 2, you might still like to be inside the client of Dota 2.
That's freaking smart.
And that's fantastic for player retention.
I wonder if that was always their initial goal with the game, or if it just happened after a while because they added so much onto the base game.
As of recently, Valve added a new way to show your identity and your art. You have a little mini profile here that I personally decorated. You're a beautiful person with a charming personality. I sense a connection between us. I like what I see.
Oh my god, it's too good. But no, it's not good enough at all. Or wait, is it?
And you've got a second profile where you can do more decoration. And some people do like immature things like positioning Axe just so, saying he likes it very much. Lifestealer saying push now, and being... someone is impersonating me. This isn't me. Number 7 is you can watch each other's replays live or pseudo live. If you have someone on your friends list, you can watch their games live. And if you don't have someone on your friend list, you can actually just go to the watch tab, press live, and see all kinds of pro gamers and high-ranking players. And you can just jump in. There will be several minutes.
This is also something that is doable in Warcraft, but would need either a gift from Blizzard or reverse engineering.
But it's that easy to just launch Dota 2 without navigating to some kind of third-party website. You can go in and you can just start watching games, focusing your view on any of the players inside the game with advanced in-game statistics. You can watch them do their thing. You can learn from the game. And in this way, even if there were no guides and educational content, there would be a way for you to learn and enjoy the game when you may want to start the game but just don't feel like playing yourself, or you're really just looking to learn something. Number 8 is that there's an integrated Esports tab. On the same button, Watch, you can click DPC, and you can see all kinds of events happening. You can navigate left and right. Pro teams that are playing each other or will be playing each other soon.
It's cool.
And there are schedules with different tournaments that are going on. Now, of course, DPC is no longer playing, so I don't know how much this is still going to be updated, since Valve is leaving most of the esports to its third-party organizers now.
Let me real quick check if the check-in is live for our cup. Then I had to do a little message here. Yep, nice. All right, check in, everybody. Shattered Exile Cup in 27 minutes. Announcements at everyone. Check in for Shattered Exile Cup is live. Link. Early rounds, best of 1. Semi-final, grand final, best of 3. First, $20. Second, $10. Let's put this in all the Discords. Oh, wrong Discord. Boop. And socials as well. Shattered Exile Cup. Link to a stream. Link to a stream. Where can I copy a link to the stream? Been some time since we linked the stream. There we go. Copy paste, boys. That's the way it is. Attention sign. Finger sign. Emoji, I guess. Tweet. Facebook business suit. Shattered Exile Cup. Boom. All right, now we watch the end of the video. Sorry for the interruption. But that's what it is when you have to do everything yourself.
independent organizations that want to hold Dota 2 esports. But for a very long time, this was a place to follow esports. Perhaps it will be again. But the point is, integrating something like this in a game like Stormgate, Zero Space, Warcraft 3, or StarCraft 2, and StarCraft 2 did do it a little bit as well, creates this great upwards and downwards migration, connects the casual players together with the pros, allows you to learn from these games and just have a feeling that you're part of a client, part of a game where there's something going on.
Bro, imagine you could, I think this would be possible, but it sounds like a lot of work. Extract tournament information from Wikipedia and link it to Flow TV. Oh, that would be good.
Number 9. As I said, Dota 2 sometimes has some problems with the behavior of their community. There is a system called Overwatch that allows peer-reviewed community reporting and judgment. So you can report each other for all kinds of reasons, and then all kinds of players that are just playing Dota 2 will be presented with the opportunity by Valve in the client, from within the client of Dota 2, and it's called Review an Overwatch Case. When you accept an Overwatch case, you'll be going into a replay like I was here, and you'll be explained how it works. There will be replay markers of reportable behavior. In this game, a Riki was reported for griefing, aka playing without the intent to be productive. Right? Maybe you're stealing things from your allies. Maybe you are deliberately getting yourself killed under the tower, etc. Then you'll be making a judgment as the reviewer about whether that player was griefing or not. You'll be presented with a screen that says, were they guilty, yes or no, at the very...
I'm pretty sure with the new client of War3 Champions, this is doable. At least on a basic level. Like, at least rank the behavior of your allies and opponents in the score screen.
End that looks like this. Did they do cheating, hacking, and scripting? Guilty, not guilty. Did they do griefing or abusive behavior? Guilty, not guilty. After this, there will be punishments when enough people say that they were guilty. There's a lot of automated machine learning behavior by Valve that can also pick up on whether people are scripting or griefing in certain ways. But some of it needs a human eye, and Valve uses the community against itself or for itself to improve these things. Warcraft 3 also has people that grief, but sadly Blizzard has nothing set up to deal with that, either by hiring...
That's why we have a mod team at War3 Champions, and that's why you play on War3 Champions.
GMs that look after behavior, nor having a peer-reviewed system. And I think, for one, it would be a great thing for WC3 or for Stormgate or games like it that want to come up and have a focus as well on multiplayer. And the final point. When an ally inadvertently or deliberately disconnects from a ranked game, all players get punished not just by the loss of ranking points, but also by the requirement to finish the game that you're in without really much of a chance to win, being a man down. Dota 2 has a system where if this happens early on in the game, all players are allowed to leave the game without a penalty to their behavior score. Behavior score penalties can lead to certain privileges withdrawn when playing Dota 2. Because it recognizes that they may not want to or need to play out the game. If someone disconnects later in the game, you can also leave after a 5-minute period of having that drag on without a penalty to your behavior score. You'll still lose MMR, but at least you don't have to play out the whole thing.
That's probably helpful for 4-4, but I don't know much about 4-4, so...
If it happens early and no kills were made yet, it is even possible for Dota players to leave without losing MMR. I think that's a really nice balanced system that I wish other games had. In a Warcraft 3 4-on-4 game, you have a lot of people griefing because they feel a sense of impunity since Blizzard isn't punishing it. Someone could leave the game and then you just have to leave too. You lose MMR. But in Dota 2, there's a little bit of a stopgap system against it, and I, for one, love it. So this was my list of 10 things that I think games
good stuff
and up-and-coming RTS games can learn from the amazing Dota 2 client that it has. Are there any others that you've thought of? Things that
Very
you would like
good.
to see included
Very, very
in games
good.
like Stormgate or others that make being inside the client more fun and that make the overall robustness of the game better? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget, if you like this video, to subscribe to this channel.
That's
Thank you very
right.
much. See you next time.
Grubby, well done, cause first of all, take my thumb and take my sub. That's a relatively new channel, as it's not the main Grubby channel, but the Grubby Talks channel. I like the Grubby Talks a lot. Here's the video link. Shower this man in thumbs up. So, why do I think this is so important? Because let's take the example of Stormgate, because it is the freshest we have, the freshest example we can go for. A lot of people are talking about the design, the balance, etc., etc., etc. But very few people are talking about the clients and the amount of features that you need. And this can enhance a game by so much, by so much. And this flies under the radar for all the new games. And I love that Grubby shines a light on it. Because it's right, like, the more time you spend within a client, the better it is for the game. Fact. The more cross-promo you do within your game, the better it is. Fact. The less you have to rely on a homepage, the better it is for your game. Fact. And there's so much to learn for everyone from the Dota 2 client. So that was very good. I gotta say, client features have also not been on my list for newer games. It's always in the back of a head. Like, how many things we'd love to have in Warcraft, right? Like, to be honest, we have to start at the very, very bottom for Warcraft 3 with things like hotkeys. And count your game results correctly when you talk about Battle.net. But it's still important.